Welcome back to Wild, Wise and Curious, Embracing Our Journey, where we're excited to continue the conversation around all things peri and beyond. We'll continue to explore all our stories, challenges and importantly the wisdom we learn along the way. As usual, we'd love to chat with women just like you who might like to share your own perimenopause or post-menopause stories with us. We can't wait to chat with you. Today we're joined by Helen. Welcome to Wild, Wise and Curious, Helen.
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So how did you come to realise that you were in perimenopause?
Well, it was a bit of a journey, to be honest. I didn't really recognise that's what it was at first. But I think the main thing for me was just all the different personalities that just came out. So it was like I felt like I was a different person. My body was changing, and I was thinking, who am I? What's happening here? Like, why am I feeling all these different feelings? And also feeling a little bit out of control, I think, was one of the things. Like, I was like, oh, I'm suddenly like really triggered by this thing that I never really was triggered by before.
Yeah.
And my body shape started changing, and I started feeling a bit of a stranger in my body, I think, as well. That was one of the things. But I didn't really mention it to anyone. So it was a process of working through stuff within myself and then just kind of recognising, because I think sometimes we just, in our minds we're always 18 or whatever age, aren't we?
Absolutely.
But in the mirror you're changing, and you're suddenly like, all my knees are a little bit creaky now and stuff, and then you're like, oh, actually it might just be that you're getting a bit older, Helen, like, accept it.
Yeah, and you do though. You start to think that everything is. We can just attribute it to getting older. Oh, I'm getting older now, so it's, I'm going to creak a little bit. So did you actually end up talking to anybody about it, or once you started to recognise those signs in yourself, what did you then do? Did you talk to anyone, or?
Yeah. So at first it wasn't that clear. I just thought, oh, maybe I'm just because I've been working on myself, maybe I'm just releasing, maybe I'm just, clearing old stuff, which I think was part of it as well. And I found with perimenopause, things that maybe we thought we dealt with a little bit heightened at this time as well.
Yeah.
Because, and like, I thought I dealt with that thing back at, in childhood or whatever, and it comes up a little bit stronger. So I thought maybe that's just it. And then there was actually a couple of ladies that I was working with, and they kept having hot flushes and were like talking about menopause and all this kind of stuff. And over time, chatting to them and their kind of symptoms, I started to think, oh, hang on a minute. And then one of them said, Helen, how old are you? And I was like, well, I'm 45. Oh, okay. And could, if you'd ever thought it could be, And then also my sister as well. She's my little sister, but she's not my little sister. I mean, she's 3 years younger. She's 3 years younger, but she's always my little sister.
I've got a 3-year younger sister, and she's always my little sister too.
Yeah, exactly. And she was mentioning some symptoms that were similar, and we started to get chatting. And we were bouncing off each other, and I thought, oh, I wonder if this is it. And she'd already kind of got there in her head that that's what it was, and I think I was still clinging on to younger mindset thing. So with her as well, we started to chat, and my cousins as well were all within about 5 years different age.
Okay.
And we set up this WhatsApp group.
Amazing. But it's great. That's great. So what sort of things were we talking about on there?
Well, first of all, we just send like, oh, today I'm feeling like this, or sending over memes or whatever, and getting feedback from each other. And it's called Hormone Help Stroke Hell. So
I love the fact you've got that. That's brilliant.
Definitely. I think you really, one thing we've kind of learned over the last few months is that you do need this like help support group, don't you? Like, and it's just tapping into your friends, and unless somebody sort of like mentions the word, nobody else does.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think it's kind of a rebirthing of yourself as well, isn't it?
Definitely.
That's definitely what we're finding, isn't it? The more people we're talking to.
Yeah. And like sort of reawakening of the things that you kind of actually really enjoy and want to do, and saying no to the things that you don't want to do without having that guilt that you tend to, I don't know, feel like you've carried like through your life when you say like no. I don't know, I guess that's part of that people-pleasing thing that we speak about, isn't it? Where you feel like you're saying yes to people a lot. I don't know, it's one of the things I've found now is I'm a little bit easier with myself if I say no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So
I think as well, with you were saying earlier about heightened sense of things that are going on, and I feel that definitely. I feel like I've got a heightened sense of not accepting bull anymore.
Yes.
But also my body won't accept stuff anymore.
Yeah.
So like I'm noticing more in my body. You know, if I'm not eating something that doesn't agree with me, I feel it even more now, and I feel like that is that heightened sense that you were referring to. You know, for everything. I just feel like and maybe that's part of being a bit more in tune with my own body. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think the whole thing with like the foods, but I think it's also like a bit of a wake up call, because you're at that stage where you think you really need to future proof, and if bodies are changing and knees are creaking and certain foods are making us feel a bit crappy, maybe that's just our body's way of saying be kind to this area, or don't eat that because I'm trying to tell you it's going to cause you trouble. And maybe it's just having that awareness where we actually can, like, I don't know, listen a little bit more to ourselves.
Yeah, and change behaviours.
Yeah, change behaviours.
Yeah.
So what sort of things have you been doing to kind of, you've got the WhatsApp group, what other things have you been doing to kind of alleviate symptoms, or maybe just make yourself feel better, or...
Yeah, well, it's different things really. One thing is I just feel like I just feel like I felt like I needed to slow down.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Okay, slow down and recenter, grounding in into myself. Yeah. Because when things are feeling like a little bit like this outside, like a little bit kind of a whirlwind, or things are going on around you. Then if I'm feeling triggered, like, okay, let's just go back into the body. So I'm kind of going into the body now and trying to, because I don't think I really appreciated my body as much before, and I felt like I maybe was just trying to keep going, or trying to race, or what, and now I'm just like, I maybe can't do that as quickly or as easily as I could before. So like you were saying, like that part of the body needs a bit of attention. Maybe we need more rest. Maybe we just need to self-care. I've been trying to self-care a bit more. Yeah. And like with the food, again, like being aware of that. So what does my body feel like eating? Listening to my body a bit more. It needs more sleep, needs more rest, it needs to say no, like you said. And how am I feeling in certain places, and how am I feeling around certain people as well. I don't mean that in a bad way, but just like to kind of, what is, where do I need to concentrate my energy? Because I feel like I've got a little bit less energy, so I need to preserve it and conserve it. Yes. In that way. And like before, I was like, I'd like to do the high impact things like yoga and not, sorry, the opposite way, like Zumba. I used to teach Zumba.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I used to teach Zumba. I used to love it, and now it feels like, I just want to, I just want to walk. I just want to, do some slow weights and
yoga.
I don't actually do yoga. I don't know what it is. I just giggle when I go to yoga. I just start giggling. So it's not really fair on the teacher if I go, so I need to get over that. But the last time I went, I was like...
So what was something? Did something make you laugh last time you went?
I don't think it was anything particular. I think it was just me because it was just. I think at that time I was just more of a a buzzy.
Faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like I probably wasn't comfortable being slow.
Yeah. That
so I was
makes
just like, I feel a bit nervous or uncomfortable. So it was just a way.
Isn't it? It is. It can be difficult to slow down when you're used to being like
100 miles an hour.
Yeah. I think we're almost programmed to be like that, though, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So listening to your intuition becomes really important.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah,
it? So
does.
just what you were saying about slowing down, the energy of the people that you're with and stuff. It all has an impact.
Yeah, and also it's like when you're with people that kind of give you walk away and you feel like, oh my God, that was great. I loved that time. I had a great time, and it kind of lifts your spirits and lifts you up. And then you have time with other people where you feel totally the opposite way. I feel more now that I want to spend my time with the people that that feed into me as much as I feed into them.
Yeah.
In the nicest possible way. And I mean that can be tricky in itself, right?
Yeah.
But walking away from conversations where you feel like energized from somebody else, that's something I like. I'm tuning into, I think, more as I'm getting older. I guess that's part of the saying no to some of the things that we have done. But like going back to the yoga thing, the reason I asked you if there was a thing that triggered the giggles was I went with my dad for a little while, and I think we were like the naughty kids at the back of the yoga class because we went and it was our first experience of yoga, so I don't know, maybe 25 years ago. We were in the big class, and so we were at the back of the room, and there were a couple of people that let out little bottom noises. Well, of course, me and my dad, like I can feel my dad staring at me, like wanting to laugh, going, Michelle, is it all right to burst out laughing here? And I looked at him, and we both just burst out laughing. And so it took me a little while to get back into yoga. And I did go without my dad after that. Because I might have been able to have staved off the laughter if he wasn't there.
Yeah, especially if you got someone that you know quite well. And you both like
you're both on it.
Feed into each other then, don't you? Oh,
and you're not mature enough, are you? It's funny, isn't it? That it's still the same. I was having a conversation the other day with somebody, and somebody had said something silly like, "Oh, bottom," and everyone just burst out laughing. I'm like, why? That just doesn't seem to go away. Why do we still
I don't
laugh?
know. I wonder if it's because we're tapping into something from childhood. That kind
I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It feels like that's what it is.
Naughty,
isn't
it?
it?
You're being a bit naughty.
It was a programme, wasn't there? And I think it was when my older kids probably watched it, where two guys who presented a Saturday morning show or something went to libraries and shouted bogies. And so I can't remember who it was. I think it was two lads. And they would go in and see who could say it the loudest to get attention.
Is it like Dick and Dom or somebody?
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it myself, but I think that might have been who it was. Yeah. So, sorry, we digress from yoga to bogies in the library.
Good blow-offs.
Pop-offs.
But it is. It's all about. So like this month, I'm celebrating my birthday, but and people have been saying, "Oh, what have you been doing? Have you had a party?" And I'm like, no, I've just been doing loads of brilliant things, like meeting lots of different people and really filling my month, and it's made me realise how much I need to do that, just generally. Because this month has been lovely. I've met with lots of different groups of friends, done lots of different activities, gone for long walks, and all that kind of stuff. And it's been actually, this has been glorious. So I want to try and put more of that into my just general life because that's been lovely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think we need to do more of that, don't we?
We need to celebrate ourselves as well as women. I really, this is. I think it's the second year now I haven't worked on my birthday, but previous to that, I was always working. I'm like, what am I doing? It's your birthday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we doing? But I think it's a societal thing, isn't it? Where you kind of just go with what everyone else is doing. and it's kind of bred into us a little bit, isn't it? That work ethic.
Yeah.
That you don't stop. You don't stop.
You've got to carry on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Work. Be really productive and
keep calm and carry on. That's the old motto, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, no, just not anymore. No,
because we've got to live our lives, right?
Exactly. And if we only get one shot of being this person in this lifetime, then we've got to at least enjoy the things that, as this person, we enjoy, right?
Yeah.
So what sort of things do you enjoy doing?
So I'm quite creative and I'm quite
lovely.
spiritual. So I do healing work. So I do a lot of energy work.
Yeah.
So that helps me as well. That's something that's helped me through things,
Yeah.
kind of balancing myself out. But I'm quite arty. So that's another thing I've found has helped. Just kind of getting back into, just sometimes just doodling or just playing with colour. I've got some like paints at home and just, having a play and just doing those things that I've forgotten about before when I was thinking so much about what I should be doing, or even sometimes what other people thought I should be doing, or what I should be, in this climbing club. And I was like, well, I think now that's what's, as I've slowed down, I think, well, I want to spend the time. Not that I've got, that sounds a bit dreary, but I want to spend my time. Yeah, I suppose,
the next 50 years.
More. Spending more of that time going, where you just get lost. When you get lost in a book, you're like, oh wow, 5 hours has gone, but you read the whole book.
Yes.
Or you're doing a bit of painting, or you're doing like something you really love, and it's like, well, all that time's gone. Like, they're the moments I'm trying to do more of now.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. That is
I'm with you there, Helen. That forgetting time, like when I spend time in my garden, and I've not really got to watch the clock or anything. Like before you know it, 2 or 3 hours has gone. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is magical.
That's the special bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what sort of things do you paint? Just anything?
Yeah, well, I used to do a lot at school.
Yeah. So it's something from your childhood that you've kind of just gone, actually, I love this.
Yeah, I just forgot about it, and I think I put, you need to have a job first rather than what I enjoy.
Yes.
We all do that.
Yes.
And that's another thing that's come back to my awareness. Like, okay, well, those things I've forgotten. So, at the moment I'm just kind of doodling, and it's really when I get an inspiration, I think, oh, I just fancy doing this, and just seeing what happens with it. And then I do like something I've forgotten about as well. I'm starting to do it more of this year. Is I do like character modelling, so I really enjoy just photo shoots, collaborating with other people, and just like we're doing 1950s, we're doing 1970s, and just getting into character, and just becoming kind of acting in a way. That's what I really enjoy, just like
becoming someone else,
expressing through that.
Yeah.
So that's something that I kind of let go of it as well, and all these different things, and just getting together with like-minded people who also have that same kind of excitement and passion for whatever it is you're doing, and you all get together, let's do this retreat, or let's do this, and you're all in there giving that same energy to it. So that's what I'm focusing on more. So it's a little bit of doodling and artwork, a little bit of modelling and energy work, which I love doing, and then just picking up the phone, calling my sister, and talking about a day and shouting, releasing that.
But it's having the time, isn't it? It's allowing. I'm saying allowing in speech marks, but allowing ourselves time to do, because I don't think. I'm going from my own experience. I don't think I've ever given myself any time to be creative or anything. And I've always said to you, oh, I'm not creative, or I'm not creative at all. But actually, if I sit and give myself some time, might not be very, very good at it, but it's still an outlet, isn't it? It's still a creative outlet. And I think it's so important for us as human beings to be able to have that.
It really is. It really is. And actually, you say you're not very good at things, but actually you are. And also, as we do things more and we practice more, it's like anything. we learn and we get better.
Yeah.
And you know, all art's subjective anyway.
Yeah.
So, I remember going to Florence when I was 10 with the school, and we went to a famous art gallery. And of course, being 10 years old, I wasn't really interested. And anyway, but I do remember one painting that stood out in this gallery, and it was huge. It was about the height of my house, you know, so like a height of a normal house. And it was massive, and it was literally just a blank canvas, and it looked like someone had like just flicked an exclamation mark down the centre of this canvas. And obviously as a 10-year-old I thought, what the hell is that doing in here? You know, I don't get that. I mean, I understand the pictures and the paintings and the, you know, the crazy art and your Kandinsky. I understand. I got all of those sorts of things and was like, that's weird. Oh, I quite like that. Or oh, I understand that, and everything else. But these pictures that I guess are abstract, you know, I mean, somebody has valued something like that to be in an art, like into being one of the famous art galleries. I can't remember the name of it. But so it is everything. It's just all subjective, isn't it, with what you make?
It's just giving yourself an outlet, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it really is.
And like you were saying, Helen, just tapping into those things that you remember that you used to enjoy as a child.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about that, haven't we? Because like we went on the zip line, didn't we?
Yes.
And I went snowboarding with my son. Did a snowboarding day thing. Learned to snowboard in a day.
Wow.
Last week. I managed an hour and a half. I wasn't very good at it. I went off and did skiing instead. But even just doing that is tapping into something I used to do as a youngster and how much I used to enjoy it. But I think it's really important.
I do. Yes, we talked about the Nick Williams book, I think, that I had a long time ago. I went to see this chap speak. I think I was probably about 18, and his book's called The Work We Were Born to Do. So it's I think it kind of like pulls on themes of the things that you absolutely love as a kid. It's kind of like the work that you're meant to go on and do. But of course we don't, because society says get a job, earn money, get a mortgage, pay your bills, have this or have that. And we don't, well, not many of us actually go, actually, do you know what? I really love drawing plants. So I'm going to make drawing plants my lifetime. You know, I'm going to make that my work.
Because it's all about earning money, isn't it?
Of course it's all about earning money.
That's the thing.
Because in society you need it to pay for stuff, you know. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great. Imagine a world where we were all just doing the things that absolutely brought us joy. Yeah. Harmoniously. Imagine I mean, if we were all doing the thing we loved, everyone would get so less angsty, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I wonder what menopause would be like then.
Yeah.
I guess there wouldn't be that like new level of discovery, would there? Where we actually go, whoa, hang on a minute, you know.
Yeah, I need to be doing stuff that brings me joy.
I want to be happy.
Yeah.
I've got halfway through relatively happy, but now I want to be proper happy. Yeah, and doing those things. So, yeah. So you mentioned your healing work.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What have you been doing with the healing work to sort of help you?
So, when I first trained, I started with Reiki and stuff, and then I did some other modalities. So when I'm working on myself, I need to go to the core of what's happening. So why am I feeling triggered? Is it that person? It's never really what's going on. Yeah. The problem is never the problem. It's always something else. So it's about when you're working on other people, it's a lot easier.
Oh, isn't it just?
Because we have our egos and we don't want to see our shadow side. It's a lot harder to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And also there's parts that we just can't see. Yeah. So what I've tried to do is be as honest with myself as I can be. So why am I triggered? Is there anything that's benefiting me from this? Is there anything I'm gaining from this situation? You know, they're a really bad person, but I'm not. Okay, maybe I'm, that could be. Yeah. So kind of going with all that and, is there anything else I can do here? And then asking, is there any other foods I can have? So with the perimenopause and all things, there's certain like vitamins and things I've noticed that I need more of, like vitamin D and magnesium, to calm down and stuff. And I can get that information from asking my body and stuff. So that's what I tend to do.
Yeah.
Is there anything food-wise that I can change? Is there anything in my behaviour I can change? Is there anything that I need to look at within myself? Is it someone else's, or is it my pattern that's triggering their pattern, or is it their pattern and I'm jumping on their pattern and joining in their story and stuff like that? So it's kind of a mixture of things that I do, and then I'll clear that with different methods. So because a lot of it is learnt, we've learnt stuff, or we've experienced trauma or whatever, a certain relationship with a parent, and then we then, it gets stuck in the body in some way, and then we keep reenacting that, or keep attracting a similar pattern. So it's kind of looking at all of that, and where am I still keeping myself a victim or stuck, really. So that's what I do, and then, kind of different things. Yeah. But it's always easy to look at other people. Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you do with your energy work then? What are the modalities that you use, Helen?
Oh, well, I mean, I started doing it really I wasn't meant to do it for anyone. So it started for myself, because I wanted to work on myself, and then it just happened that came to be. So I do Reiki, but then I needed to go deeper, so I did something called theta healing, which is working on the subconscious and how our beliefs then create our reality. And then what I do a lot of is medical intuitive, so how the emotions get stuck in the body and then create the disease. So that's what I do a lot of now.
Wow. Oh my God, that sounds
incredible.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't really know.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy it. So, and one thing I know, because I'm quite different from other members of my family, and they're, so bouncing off some other people in the family who are more kind of not really holistic, but very much, will go to the doctors and stuff.
Yes.
It's interesting because you get both sides.
Yes.
Because I was always very one way, like do the healing and stuff. And they will go and book an appointment with doctors. Well, I'm a bit scared of doctors.
Yeah.
Dentist.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's nice to have that balance. Yeah. Because really, both is the best thing. And so I went and, as well as doing the energy work, I went to the doctors and got them to test my blood, what vitamins am I low on, etc.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah.
So I think, it's good to have a more balanced perspective on it.
It's good to have the knowledge, but from both sides, really, isn't it? So get the actual blood test done, so it gives you the metrics that you can change, and then go ahead and change them with your lifestyle and diet and stuff, really.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing that for, Helen? How long have you been working in that area?
Yeah, so I did that. So I started about 2019.
Okay.
So a long time, yeah, a long time I did that. Yeah.
Wow.
I've been doing it.
Okay.
I've just kind of done more courses over time.
Yeah.
And things.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how the patterns play out, and the energy, and certain energy relates to certain parts of the body. Yeah, like, example, liver is where a lot of anger's stored.
Okay.
So kidneys are fear and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so it's like, and my grey hairs turning white. It is perimenopausal, but it can be other things as well, like certain vitamins and stuff.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is.
Like I
She says with a full head of grey.
That's what I noticed. Hair loss and my hair changing colour, like white, quite early on in my 30s as well.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So.
How long was it since yours started?
Well, I was looking at a photo of me and my 40th birthday, and I'd got really long dark hair, but I do know that that's when it started to come through. So in my early 40s, it was starting to come through, and now it's quite quite prevalent.
Quite glorious.
It's all in the
beautiful.
roots now, and I think if I shaved it off now, it'd all come back white.
Yeah.
But yes, I hadn't even thought about it as being like
a deficiency of
vitamins and stuff like that. I'm reading at the moment. I'm going to forget what it's called. It's about Alzheimer's. Patrick Holford.
Yeah.
And I've just started reading it. It's a brilliant book, but what he's saying in there, it just resonates just generally. Good health, really, looking after yourself, eating well, and exercise, moving more, and having less polluted. All of it is the same for
we know
whatever
it.
we do.
know it all, don't we?
Yeah, regardless of what condition you're looking at. He talks a lot about B vitamins and stuff in there, but I think we're probably very deficient in a lot of things, just generally as a society. I may be making a very sweeping statement there.
Well, no, I think, most people work indoors in offices with fake lighting. Then we go home to our homes with fake lighting. We're not out, not many of us now work outside, do we? And sort of like spend a lot of time out in nature. And I know that's one of the things I want to do more of, because I've just got this calling to just go and live in the woods. But I just want to be able to dip in and out of society.
Yeah.
I want as and when I want to. So it will be happening. But we don't sort of connect with the land, with the earth, and just kind of. I think that's why we, enjoy being out in the garden, don't we? Just like getting your hands into the mud and just planting things and watering things. And as you can see around here, like, I just love my plants, and I think that's just that feeling of looking after it and watching it grow and feeding it and moving it around the room or moving it around the house to make it, grow and develop better. But I don't know, I feel like that is my connection to earth a bit more. I feel it a little bit more because of all the plants. But I want to get out and live out in the middle of nowhere. Well, not in the middle of nowhere.
There's that whole comparison to plants, isn't there? About if your plant starts to die, you change its soil and you change its environment.
Yeah.
You don't.
It might not like the pot.
Yeah. That's that's our.
That's us.
Yeah, it's just humans as well.
Yeah.
It's understanding those changes that we can make in our daily lives to help us flourish.
Absolutely.
That sounded quite deep.
I did. A deep moment. So we're going to run away to the woods with lots of woods.
Lots of plants, grow our own veggies.
Absolutely.
Although, yes, I had to laugh. So I started growing veggies and stuff in the garden. And I had 3 strawberries come the other day, and my first 3 strawberries. So I took them up to the kids, and I was like, "My first strawberry, enjoy it!" And I'm like, "Well, I'm never going to keep us going with 3 strawberries, am I?"
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because we've got 2 like little raised beds, like you have, and we do grow stuff like garlic and carrots and potatoes, beetroot, those sorts of things, but.
They're going to sustain you, are they, really?
I don't think it'd sustain the family of 5 if I filled the garden.
No, that's very true.
But and you had a really good allotment, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I had an allotment which was not quite so good. But it was time. Trying to have a nice amount of space where you can then, because you're working to earn money so that you can keep your roof over your head and feed your belly, you're kind of restricting yourself because you're not able to spend the time that you need to grow all the food for a family or even for yourself. I think I'd be okay if it was just me here. I could probably
if you just live on salad leaves, you'll be all right in my garden.
Or grass.
I've got loads of
I've got grass.
I've got loads of salad, and I must admit there was an element of going and picking my salad and then making my lunch, and it was like there is an element of I'm feeling this. It's nourishing from a different perspective.
It is, and it tastes so much better.
Yeah, it's lovely. Well, I that and the green fly, but
there is always that.
The bugs that you get with it, but we really have digressed a bit. Sorry. That was my fault.
No.
It's all relative.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But so many hundreds of years ago, we'd be working the land, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And we'd be chewing the fat, with
and that's how
other
we get our
women.
exercise. We wouldn't need to
Exactly.
think about having to go and
No.
do exercise because it's inbuilt into our daily lives.
Whereas
Isn't
now, definitely, we walk down the stairs, press a button, your water's boiled, you get in your car, drive to work, you stay at work, ditto the way home.
Yeah.
Even going to the gym, it's just one machine in a building with artificial light.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the way you put that, I'm like, wow. Really, yeah.
But, we're not.
Yeah.
But we're not out, are we, in nature?
Not organic, is it?
No.
Yes.
So I guess it's just like I spoke to Tom, my husband, about we want to move out to the sticks into this woodland area, and it'll happen at some point. Now's not the right time because of where the kids are all at. But so he said something to me that I won't let him know, but it was actually quite profound.
Yeah.
And he said, "Let's practice where we are." And that is why I started to really put the effort in to make my surroundings how I want them to be. Because in my head, weirdly, I'd had this thing that, when I've got my cabin in the woods, I'm going to paint it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put all my pictures up, and I'm going to have all my little bits out, and I'm going to, have all my plants. And this was quite a few years ago, and I just thought, do you know what? I'm going to start creating that here, now. And then when I move, I'll just be a little bit more experienced.
It was very profound of our
I
Tom,
know.
that was.
I
love that
know.
piece of
I love
advice.
that.
But he's absolutely right, because, even with the podcast, for example, we just literally got some mics, stuck them into, and we just started talking.
Yeah.
And that was literally how we started. And it was just do the thing, wasn't it?
It
So
was.
in order for you to be able to grow all the food that you need to do when you're in your woods and you're going to be self-sustainable with your solar and all that kind of stuff, you need to start practicing now, because you can't all of a sudden go to a massive plot and say, how am I going to do all this? You need to practice and learn how to do it. He's bang on.
He is bang on.
Yeah, well
isn't
done,
he?
Tom.
Well done, Tom.
Yeah, he's got that on recording now as well.
No, he has. And I don't think I've ever congratulated him, and I don't think he thinks any of this is down to that.
But it is absolutely right. You need to start somewhere. You're laying the foundations for whatever your future life is going to be.
And and that can be the health stuff. You know, you talk a lot about future-proofing.
Yes.
The whole thing of like doing the walking, or yoga, or whatever it is, or cycling, whatever it is. It's doing those things, isn't it?
Yeah, and I love the way like you're talking about that and you're doing it now, because actually you're not seeing it as something in the future, are you?
No.
That's something I'll take away with me today.
Yeah.
Because why
Why do we plan?
now?
Yeah.
Let's celebrate now. Let's do this now.
Because we can all do the things that we love now. It might not be to a massive degree, but I think those starting now and doing them even as a little bit, it grows, doesn't it? Well, like you with your energy, and doing your energy work, but initially doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Look in the 6 years or however, look at what that's grown into now. It is, isn't it? It's planting the seeds, isn't it? And then just kind of riding them. Well, with the podcast.
Yeah.
Planting it, let's just do it. Let's just get on with it. Because we spoke about this off podcast, and we were saying that if we'd have planned it and thought about it and worked it out, we probably still wouldn't have got round to recording anything.
No.
Because we'd have been like, oh no, we need
a
to do
room, we need this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we just it's really simple. We just plug a mic in and just start talking, and it has been that easy. And like you, I trained in Qigong because I used to go to a session and that session finished, and I used to love it. So I thought I'll train for myself just so I can learn it. And it's once I realised how important that had become in my life and the benefits that I'd got from it, I wanted to share it with others. Yeah. So I started running sessions because just from my own experience and just seeing how brilliant it was, and I do Reiki as well, and because I've seen the profound impact it can have. You kind of just want to share that with others.
Yeah, and which is another reason why we're doing the podcast, because, and it's on earlier episodes, I had a horrific experience of perimenopause, but it was mental health stuff. It was like really bad anxiety and panic attacks, which I'm not, I'd experienced them before a little bit, But this was like really, really hard, and I wasn't sleeping. I didn't sleep properly for about 9 or 10 months, and it was just like this cycle I was stuck in, and didn't realise it was perimenopause. And my other hat is I write, and I'll write scripts, and I've had a few plays on and a bits pieces like that, and I've done a TV script writing MA, which is part of what my next level of study is now. But I wanted to use my lived experience to kind of go, hang on a minute, we shouldn't be suffering. You know, everybody needs to have a little bit more access to things that can happen and things that can help in this kind of midlife kind of time. You know, and also to know that it's not all scary and it's not all doom and gloom. It's like having that reawakening, isn't it? And tapping into all those things that, you know, you're talking about there with the art and doing the things that make you happy. So it's like it's having that learning, isn't it? And then wanting to roll something out so that other people can feel the benefit of your experience and the things that you've done.
Yeah, and when you said panic attacks, and I think maybe we might have mentioned it another time on one of the podcasts, I was like, oh my goodness, that's something I do. I'm kind of paranoia, you know, like, and I'm like, where's that come from? And it was from what you'd said. I was like, oh wow, that made me feel a bit more connected and comfortable and understanding, oh wow, actually it could just be perimenopause. Well, not just, but that's where it's coming from, and this like heart palpitations I had as well, and you know, it kind of soothed me a little bit when you said that. I was like, okay, maybe that's what it is, you know, and you know, that's with all the stuff that's going on, it's just another thing. And I have noticed that, you know, occasionally I've just kind of had a couple of tears from nowhere, and then that also was like, oh right, maybe it's just
this isn't me.
but there's a part of us that's dying in a way. I mean, our organs are changing, so it is a shift in. But you know, just little nuggets of people just saying the odd thing from the podcast that you done, kind of that connected me, and I thought, oh, you know, that's helped me a little bit. I felt, oh, you know, just the odd thing, and just the other things people were saying, and I hadn't already shared that with people. But to hear it on a podcast, hear someone else say it, kind of that linked in and helped me as well. So it does, definitely.
It's that power of story, isn't it? You know, like when we all start and share our stories, going back to the old days where we would sit and talk about these things, and us being a bit more disconnected now. Whereas if we all share our stories and our experiences, I was really scared to share initially because I was like, oh my God, I'm making myself really vulnerable. Now I'm like, oh, you can have any part of me because you know what? I don't want anyone else to feel as shit as I did at that time. So we just have to share. I just feel like our stories, this is, you know, another reason that we connected for the podcast, wasn't it? Because we kind of look at story from different angles. But yeah, just people's stories, what their journeys have been. I don't think, you know, we realise how many people, the people that we can help people along the way, just by kind of expressing a bit of our vulnerability.
Because you can feel very alone while you're going through it. If you're not talking to others about it, it can feel very lonely time. And like you were saying with the heart palpitations, there's moments where you think, where I've thought, oh gosh, is this something serious?
Yeah.
You know, and then you have to monitor it. Okay, I'm paying attention to that now, and if it continues, I will have to go and get checked. But actually, sometimes it will just pass. But again, it's that listening to your body and working out what is that, why is that. Actually, I've had a really stressful week. I didn't drink enough water. You know, and it could be all of these things. It's just being a little bit. Listening. It's just listening.
It is.
In lots of ways, isn't it? To ourselves and each other. I'm being very profound today.
You are, aren't you? You're sitting in Tom's chair, obviously.
He's had a feature today.
Yeah, bless
you might
him.
want to listen to this episode. But I think, you know, by sharing our stories, hence obviously the podcast, and speaking to, you know, there's lots of podcasts out there with, you know, fantastic doctors and like celebrities who have had their own journeys, and that's amazing because they're doing great work and it's being spread. But you know, I think we just really wanted to speak to like the sort of like women in society that are, you know, just like normal women that are living kind of normal lives, and sometimes experiencing things that they might feel are not normal, but actually kind of like, well, you know, talking from stories, it kind of, like you were saying, it might make you think, oh, I felt a bit like this. Oh, okay, maybe that's what that is. It's, I don't know. I just think we need to spend more time with each other, or like we're connecting with other women, and like you are with your WhatsApp group, sharing and having like people that you can ring, like your sister at the end of the day, and go, oh, for flip's sake, you'll never guess what happened. And then your sister will go, oh, that's not really much. Well, it was to me at the time.
You don't know how true that is.
I do, just because I'm the same.
It does make a difference having that support network.
It's so good,
doesn't it?
Yeah,
it really does make a difference.
It really does. I mean, I've found it's gotten easier. Obviously, it was really tricky about 5 years ago. And then kind of like with sort of help and with things that I've sought, that I've spoken about on the podcast, I've got better and better, and I wanted to go back to uni and do this like research degree. So, but I didn't know what I wanted to do it in. So when I realised it was such like, yes, there's loads of information out there on menopause in documentaries and things like that. But perimenopause, I mean, I spent loads of time looking for it on TV and in TV dramas and stuff, and it's not there. So there was no one like me being represented on telly, so I couldn't learn from TV. And yet I think it's like a massive medium and we could all learn loads of stuff.
Absolutely.
So, you know, where are we supposed to learn? I thought it was just, you know, I might have got hot flushes, then my periods would stop. And guess what? That ain't always just what happens.
No, but we are having so many conversations with our kids,
awesome.
And you know, with family members, and you know, the boys know all about it now, much more than I ever did at that age. Yeah,
my mum didn't really, you know, she had a few moments where she was a bit sort of clammy and probably was a little bit more raggy, but nothing. You know, nothing that I'd experienced. And I kind of like sort of thought, oh, I'll learn from. Actually, that's rubbish. I didn't even think I'd learn from it. It wasn't till I was in the depths of it that I thought, oh, wasn't expecting this. And we didn't pay attention at school. In fact, I don't think there was there weren't really lessons in menopause. It was more about, what was it, periods and babies and then
reproductive
and that was
system.
it. Yeah. So,
but I think there's been a shift. I do think there's been a shift. And I think also not just with the perimenopausal talk, but just generally in how we show up. You know, like, so even there seems to be less. From my experience, I seem to be putting less of a mask on.
Yes.
So if I'm having a really bad day or whatever, I'll be able to show up wherever.
Knows about it.
That's very true. But if I'm having if I'm not had enough sleep or whatever, you know, I'll show up and go, I'm really sorry, I'm not feeling great today, I've not had enough sleep. Yeah. And that's it, done. We can carry on. Do you know what I mean? And I think taking that off that mask and being more vulnerable, being more authentically you that day, actually gives everyone permission to do the same. And then it's a more real experience as well.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right with that. And I think, but what I also think is that because we all talk about it a lot, and we read about it, and we're kind of tuned into sort of to it, I think we've given ourselves the old permission to say it like that, because we've had so many conversations with other women that just basically say, well, I just do exactly what you've just said. So I think we feel that we can do that, but I wouldn't have felt like I could have done that 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. But I do now. Yeah. So I wonder if it's that surrounding yourself with that, you know, like we said before about, you know, like our social media and stuff is just like full. Like you follow loads of different groups and stuff.
Getting a bit bored in perimenopause now.
I know. I think we need to hit menopause, then be in post-menopause, and like really start living this wild woman out in the woods. So that's where we're going. But yeah, it's a great time for the awakening and the stuff like you were talking about, Helen, with sort of like finding the areas in your body that you need to sort of address. And is that coming to us, do you think, in midlife, so that we can sort of like heal those bits, so then we can move forward into this second phase of life, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think no matter where you are in life, when you come to this part of it, your body is changing. You just can't deny it anymore, and you just have to accept something's changing. I'm changing. I'm feeling different, and then I feel like from working on myself, like certain areas do need more time and attention, and it's. See, now my mind's just gone.
We
feel
But
just losing that train of thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was going to say this, and all of a sudden I've gone over there, and I don't know where I'm going.
Well, you must have noticed we do it all the time.
Really good.
Oh well, yeah, that's just what happened. But no, definitely. And I find like what tends to happen when we're younger is we're like, right, we can do anything. I can do anything, so I'm just going to keep going, and that's happening. I'll put that there and I'll put that there. We don't realise we do it, but we put it all on our backs and our heads, and we put it all there, and we just carry on, and we don't always process things we've been through at the time. And then what I've found with the perimenopause is because you're having to slow down, your body's telling you to slow down, everything's changing, that, it's like, hang on, Helen, or hang on, whoever, if I'm doing a session. We haven't dealt with this fully yet. You may have let that person go, maybe a little bit, but you haven't fully let it go. You've still got some anger with that person, or you've still got some unforgiveness, or you've still got something going on there. That's why you're craving sugar all the time, or, if there's still something there, and it's more prominent because everything else is happening. So it's like, it's making you deal with those certain things that you thought you dealt with at a deeper level. So I do think there's something with that. And then you're losing your kind of ability to have children, which is a big thing. So you're losing a part of yourself. There's a death going on there. So it is, you're shedding, and okay, now I'm not going to be able to do that at some point. I'm not going to be able to give birth. That's another thing you have to process with. And someone who hasn't had any children, for me, that's kind of also another thing that I've had to go through, because I it just didn't happen that way. I was never, I have to have children, or I don't have to have children. It was just always an open question. So again, that's another thing that is like, well, now I won't have a choice. So you do these little things, so those things come up. And then you have people around going, oh, not, there's some people think, it's a bit odd that you haven't had children. You get that a little bit as well. And
well,
then
even in this day and age, Helen?
A little bit, I have had a little bit of that, I have to say. Yeah, it's really, So it's kind of being centred in yourself and going, well, because I can still adopt if I want. It doesn't mean, nothing.
No.
But it just didn't happen for me in the right way. So, I do think it's, a rebirth and a change.
Yeah.
But I do feel it's all for a positive change.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Come on, who are you at your core?
Yes.
Woman. Be that goddess,
Absolutely,
what do you want now?
Yes.
This is, potentially another 50 years. Like, what do you want that 50 years to be like? What does it want to look like and feel like to you?
That's exactly what we say,
Come on, and let's go there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, absolutely. The woods.
The menopause mansion.
It feels exciting though, doesn't it? It's like, okay, so what are these things that I want to bring into my life and make my life, cultivate it.
Yeah, as she strokes me aloe vera. I know you said bush. Aloe vera bush? I don't think you call them that, do you?
No.
But it is.
Yeah.
It's just cultivating the life that you want to lead.
Yeah. I know, don't get me wrong, I know it's difficult because you have to fit that around work and some duties, and we might be looking after parents, we might still be looking after children. There are always going to be those things that get in the way, but it's like, what can we do around that?
Yes,
what
practicing.
And bringing it into your daily life as well, being consistent with it. I feel that's really important, what am I going to look like in 10 years' time? What is my 60s going to look like? I'm going to be really hoping that whatever I do now is helping me get there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And actually, in 10 years' time, I would like to be in the woods, in my little cabin.
Yeah.
You know, growing all my own stuff with a room full of crystals.
We'll come back to
loads of animals.
Oh, it's been 10 years.
We're not waiting that long.
Having a cup of tea.
We'll have proof of it, won't we?
Yeah. We'll have our 10th year anniversary edition in your woodland. In your woodland.
In my woodland.
It's documented now.
So we have to come back together in 10 years
today. Absolutely, as a celebration.
As a celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah, of making your dreams happen, of doing the things that sets your heart on fire, of following that fire in your belly and being, like you said, you know, being that woman, that goddess that you want to be. And that we all are at our core.
Yeah.
If we can shed the shit and move into it. Yeah. And actually recognise that is who we are. You know, we're made of stars, right?
Yeah.
We can do wonderful things. In fact, we can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's probably a really good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, well done, Michelle.
Thanks for that, Lou.
Shining spot. The stars we are. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much for coming in today, Helen.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed this conversation. And it's really set me up for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
I've
thank you, Helen. Really appreciate you coming today.
Thank you too. It's been amazing, and it's a beautiful environment.
Thank you.
Looking forward to 10 years' time.
Me too. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Wild, Wise and Curious. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, feel free to email us at info@wildwiseandcurious.com or reach out on our socials at wild_wise_and_curious. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Stay curious and we'll see you next time.